Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Jessica Emery, and this is the Dental Diaries podcast. I'm here with Dr. Laura Mach today. I am so excited. She is a friend of mine. I've known her for a long time, and she is doing all kinds of wonderful. Nice to have you here today. So just to jump into a little bit about her, Dr. Laura is a general dentist, a practice owner, and a leadership coach for female dental practice owners. She uses coaching tools from the Life Coach School that are unique to the dental industry to help women get what they want in their practices and their life. Love it. Her clients find more peace, more confidence, and a better understanding once they complete her program. I am so excited to learn more about all of this. Yay! So welcome, Dr. Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so impressed you got yourself a podcast too. You're doing so many great things.
Yes, I just took a deep dive. We were just talking before we hopped on here about she has had a podcast for some time now, which I know how long has it been since you've had your podcast?
Well, I started the YouTube channel a year and a half ago, and then 6 months ago, it grew up, went through puberty.
I love it.
And became an actual podcast.
That's so great. I know I was just looking at all of your things. You have really absolutely, grown into all of the fancy stuff. I mean, for me with this podcast, I was just saying how it's messy early pre-puberty stages, but that's okay. We're in the midst of the COVID crisis here, and the more value that we can just hop on and get out there and add for people, the better. So as I was mentioning, we met years ago we went through a coaching program together.
My guess would be it's been 6 or 7 years probably.
I would say so. Yeah, a long time. And we have, I know, evolved and done so much in that time too. But both have your practices fee for service as well, right? Or
actually, no, I have a big bustling Delta practice.
Oh my gosh, tell us about, that's right, the Delta with you guys. Tell us a little bit about your practice and how, just your life, maybe your background, which I know is good.
Well, I graduated from dental school in 2007, and I had 3 small children when I graduated.
That's right.
So I immediately bought a practice because I kind of felt like I was like behind the power curve. And so now I've owned it for almost 13 years. And just where we live, pretty much if you have dental insurance, it's Delta Dental. So it just has really grown into that. It's a big, busy practice. And I've been trying to like snip and try to make it a little bit more sort of like yours, but not quite so much,
Sure.
I do some larger cases. We do a lot of implant supported dentures, which is kind of nice. And it was about probably 2 years ago that I really started to look into the life coaching stuff too. So now I subdivide my time between those two things.
Which is amazing. Now, when we met though, was it always bustling your practice, or did it was always that way? Okay. I didn't know.
It was too big when we met. So one of the reasons that I went to that particular consultant is because I needed it to be less busy.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do tell us what got you into the life coaching side of things, like deep passion of yours that you've always had.
So basically, it's always so fun to talk about your own mistakes, right? I was having a slumpy year. Like, my sales were down. I was just sort of being a robot dentist, and I was exhausted, gaining weight, drinking a lot, just sort of like trying to buffer out my negative feelings after work every day. Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I started listening to a podcast on life coaching because I thought maybe there might be helpful answers there. And because I listened to the podcast, I actually was able to use these coaching principles on myself and recreate my life and my practice. And it's so interesting because not only did I feel so much happier with my practice, but I also started making more money. Like it kind of followed, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Totally. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. So then I decided to become a life coach myself for other dentists because there's nobody else teaching these principles in dentistry. There are other life coaches in dentistry, but I'm the only one from the life coach school. And so it's unique. The principles that we go by are very powerful and you can't get them anywhere else.
And you're a female dentist, which I
Right.
love. To me, there's nothing better than a dentist, someone that's been there in the trenches, that's done it, that understands, to be able to help the mindset of another that may be stuck.
I mean, I have to say, being a female dentist, especially a practice owner, is a very singular experience. And I don't think that anybody else really understands except another female dental owner.
Yep.
And I have that. Plus, I have the tools. So we dig in and we look at what's been going on in their thoughts and their feelings, and then what we can do is take what they've been doing, figure out what they would rather have happen, and work backwards to figure out how to make that happen in their life. And that's the coaching tools.
That's amazing, which, I mean, tools really at the end of the day are what it's all about, is being able to apply those. So you were able to apply them to yourself, which is incredible. And I mean, 'cause I know, yeah, there are so many dentists that are just so kind of stuck and lost and not knowing where or how, kind of thing. So it sounds, yeah, amazing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
let me give you an example.
Right. That would be good.
So I read this book by Sebastian Younger. Nope, wrong book. Which
Yeah.
book was it? Oh, shoot. Well, it's on emotional intelligence.
Uh-huh.
Okay. If I remember it while we're talking, I'll shout it out.
Okay.
But basically, it was about how our emotions are very contagious as humans because we're pack animals. And I I realized that I could use my thoughts to change how I was feeling and how that might actually change what was happening in my practice. So this is what I did. I did an experiment where every day for a week, before I got out of my car to get into my practice, I would say to myself, my good mood is worth money.
Yeah, I love it. That's great.
Then I would be like, okay, well, actually, I can be happy for that because I need this money so that we can hit payroll and, all that stuff.
It's like
And
a
so
mantra of sorts.
exactly.
But
And then I would go in. I had prepared my mind before I went in. So I felt happier because I had a reason to. And then it's kind of weird, but like that actually changed how I interacted with my patients and my team. And we made so much money that week. It was insane.
that's amazing. I understand it. I get it. Energy is real for sure. And mindset is everything. And yeah, flipping that switch. I've done the same thing, driving to work, not, just trying to find that spot or that place, whether it be music or a positive podcast or something to
Mhm.
turn into, yeah, just, that positive zone. So when you walk in, and it's infectious because all of a sudden your energy is great. Everyone feels that. And it switches everybody.
Yes, and I will warn you that we all, including life coaches, we all have gremlin thoughts hiding up there that are creating negativity or worse things for us. And part of life coaching is kind of finding those and just putting a flag on them and like, oh, okay, well, that's a thought. That's something you could think, but it's not necessarily true. And it's not creating something that you want. For example, I might think to myself, this patient doesn't like me, or this patient doesn't want to hear that they could benefit from full mouth reconstruction. So I'm just going to say everything looks fine and go to the next operatory. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you find those dangerous thoughts, it can help you so much to create that new thing, whatever it is you want to create.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible. Let's jump into, when we're talking about negative thoughts and our brains and minds being pinball machines. I think now more than ever with this COVID that's been going on, this emotional roller coaster. of feelings that we all have that are very, very different for all of us. Can you speak to that at all? On some people are just so scared versus trying to. Do you have any tools in your toolbox, I suppose, to help them get out of that scared place, to use what time is left positively, to flip the switch?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for asking. That's a great question. So let's pretend that you're a female dentist who's really, really worried about her practice with COVID. Okay. And you're feeling scared. It's very important to understand this is part of coaching tools, that our feelings don't originate from what's happening around us. They actually originate from our thoughts. So you can have COVID-19 spreading through the country, and that's what we would call a circumstance, or the facts of the situation are that there are X number of COVID cases in the country right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can think so many different things about the fact that there's COVID in the country right now. Some of them make you feel one thing, and some of them make you feel something else. And if you're feeling scared, it means that you're thinking something that's a scary thought. And you need to figure out what that scary thought is and decide if it's something that you want to keep in your life. So you might be thinking something like, I'm going to run out of money, or we're all going to get sick and die, or my practice is going to get bankrupt and I'm not going to have a dental practice anymore. You don't know why you're feeling that way until you actually look inside your mind and see what you're thinking. And then once you find the thought, then you can decide, am I going to keep this thought, or am I going to ask my brain to dismiss it?
Oh my gosh, I love that, because you are so in control of it. And it's very difficult when there are so many things coming at you. What I have found is that I've had to stay in my own lane and shut off the noise. There are so many Facebook groups and threads, messenger threads. And you know what? Like, we might jump in, one thread might be something fun, like, all right, let's do it. You want a TikTok? Like, let's play, guys. Like, let's keep the positive energy up. And, they're learning a new skill, and, and this is fun. But then all of a sudden it jumps right back in, because that's where the brain likes to go, right back into this negative, or loans, or debt, or did you get this, and so I've just kind of had to put all of it to the side personally for me. All I'm waiting for is the date for Illinois right now. Like, every morning when I wake up, I'm like, okay, I just want to see the news for a second, not to have the negative come in. But I think as dentists, we know this, we can speak to this too. We're control freaks, right? Like, I am such a control person that I want to know the date so I can create a plan. Like, I need the plan in my head. Is it going to be 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3? So that I can, decide like what I'm going to do in the meantime. That's me personally. I know for others, like I said, we're all very different.
Well, let me just stop you right there for a second.
Yeah.
As you said a couple of things I really want to comment on. First of all, yes, you need to curate what you are inviting into your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not recommend getting on social media and scrolling through all the Facebook dental groups, because there's pretty much nothing that's going to make you feel worse.
Exactly.
Than looking at what everybody else is worrying about.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I completely support you in that. And then as far as, needing that control, I just have to say that being female dentists, we are basically we have been setting ourselves up for needing that control our whole lives, starting from the time that we had a dream that we wanted to be a dentist. And so then we had to massage and curate our grades and make sure they were perfect. And then dental school started, and all of a sudden the millimeters mattered, and those tiny little angles mattered, so that our bridge would draw, all those tiny things. And then you get into dental practice, and especially if you're doing aesthetic work or anything intricate, you're looking at tiny little drops of blood on a margin when you're trying to take an impression or see a veneer, and you're like, that needs to go bye-bye. I must control this for the outcome. And then if you pile on top of that, all the things that female dentists worry about with regards to practice ownership being a leader. Do they have the right team? Is the team following them? Are they complaining? Are they using their time well? Can I make payroll?
Right.
Can I pay my bills this month? So many things, and it all adds up to all these potential thoughts that we could have that are going to give us negative feelings. Once we become aware of the fact that, of course, our brain wants to worry about things because that's what brains do. Brains are in there to keep us safe, right? Evolutionarily speaking, our brain's job is to find potential dangers and help us avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're female dentists, we've got like this magical combination of like the worst possible things to think about with our human brains.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we actually see what's happening, then finally we can take control and feel something that's more intentional. If that makes sense.
Right. It does. That's when we were going back to the brain and it being, controlling your thoughts. I mean, it's our brain and our thoughts and our emotions are definitely like pinball machines. And I agree with you 1,000% of taking a moment to be in a thought and deciding what that thought is going to look like. And, for me over this time, I've bounced back and forth with feeling, and again, this is personal, that I go, oh my gosh, there's so much time and there's so much I could do, but then I bounce and I say, but what? And my husband said to me this morning, why are you being so hard on yourself? Because I'll say, my gosh, I have had that pile of books. I buy books on Amazon all year long. If someone says there's a good book or I see a good book, I'm obsessed, right? I've got bookshelves and I love to read. And my history. For those of you that do not, I go to Fort Lauderdale usually every year. It's my like creative time. It's when I bring a stack of books and I plow through them. It's like one of my favorite things to do for growth and all of that. But it's been a long time. I have not, I haven't had made that opportunity. I was going to say I haven't had that opportunity. I have not made that opportunity. But where I have struggled is being okay with that and saying, you know what, it's all right. And giving yourself grace and saying, everyone can use this time the way they feel like they need. And even for me to say, my gosh, you have accomplished a lot. Be proud of that. And if you decide tomorrow you want to just stay back and read one of those books, awesome. That's okay.
So you look at that stack of books and you say to yourself something like, oh, you should be reading these.
Yes, right. I have to move them out of my face.
Right. So just be aware that you're used to saying that to yourself. You're used to being aware of what you aren't doing that you should be doing because you had that habit. And so your brain is used to, oh, what am I not doing right now? Like it wants to find that thing. And you look at that stack of books and then you tell yourself, I should be reading those. But what if you told yourself, it's going to be so nice when I read those instead? Like that creates a completely different feeling. And then you can still have your books, you can still collect them and look forward to your next trip to Florida where you can sit on the beach and read them, but not be so hard on yourself in between those moments.
Yeah. Well, I think, like I said, dentists, it's real because our hands are in the mouth all day long and time, right? Time, it's difficult to find pockets of time when you are alone. So let's speak to that because dentists never, ever turn off. It's, I think for the most part, many of us solo practice owners, I don't know, I'm sure all of us, take it home. And then let's talk about being a mom. I mean, throw kids, I've got 3 kids, throw children into the mix as well. And it just ups the ante when it comes to stress or balance or feeling like, you're not good at anything versus, because you can't be good at that one thing, stretching yourself thin across all of them.
Yes. So let's talk about this for a second, because this is another neurological habit that we have created. So when we're at work, we are taught that our time is short and valuable and everything is done to try to maximize the dentist's time, right? Our time is the most expensive thing in the office. So if I drop something in the dental practice, I'm not the one who picks it up because my time is that valuable. Somebody else is going to pick that up, right? And so we're telling ourselves, I need to be efficient. I need to hurry. There's not enough time. Oh my gosh, this class 2 is taking longer than I thought because now there's an open box an open proximal contact.
The next person is waiting.
The next person's waiting.
Yes.
And then we go home And we are still used to thinking that. We're still used to thinking that our time is stretched thin. And so then instead of just sitting there enjoying the fact, let's say you have your 5-year-old and you're helping your 5-year-old learn how to make a pancake, but they're not doing it right. And instead of just going, this is the moment when my 5-year-old learns how to do this wrong and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have this habit that's like, oh my gosh, here, let me take care of this so that we can hurry up and move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you have to be like, you have to see that that's what your mind has been doing in order to undo it and enjoy yourself while you're at home.
Yeah, that struggle is real.
Oh, tell me about it. I know.
For sure. And for me, I mean, yeah, time. I'm like, where would I take the time to even be thinking about that? I really do try to think of those things, but sometimes what is ingrained and what just, you know, comes through. And I mean, I don't know, we were just speaking as well, like earlier, just we touched on it. Maybe we can talk about, I was saying how I've discovered over this time so many women, amazing women in dentistry doing incredible things in side hustles, whether that be art or coaching. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on. There are so many things. And so we were just speaking to having side hustles or other things you want to do and grow on top of being, a mom, and then in the dental world as well,
Mm-hmm.
making time in pockets, or I guess it's just mindset and being okay with, and then the gym. Let's talk about the gym and where to
I
tuck that in.
actually wanted to go there next.
I know.
Because this is something that's unique between Jessica and I. We are
Yes.
two female dentists who have done bikini contests.
Yeah, we're talking on the national level. We're talking bikini stage, ultra uber tan,
With the tan and
oil
the
tan,
spray and the glitter
stripper
and
heels,
all that stuff.
the high heels, the 6-inch clear heel. Yes, I love that. I love that we did that. You want to speak to that mindset and why we went there?
Let's just talk about how that even happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have 2 or 3 or 4 businesses.
Yeah.
And when I did it, I only had one, but I was also a single mother. So if we thought to ourselves, I would love to do that, but I don't have enough time, then what we would feel would be scarcity of time, and we would act like our time was scarce. But I don't know what you thought, but I thought, I just want to do this.
Yep.
I just want to do this. And so I felt motivated. And then that feeling led to actions, which for me was I carved out the time.
Yep. Yes. Yes. In reflection now, literally, I'm like, how did that happen? But you know what? I had set that goal like you did too. And I knew I was going to make the time because I had that deadline. I had that goal. I was driven, and there was no excuse. I may have been exhausted at the night and, in the evening after work, but I went to the gym. Now I'm like, ooh, that glass of wine sounds better. Or I can be home and, things like that.
Yeah, there's a reason I have these gels here now. And it's because the wine is much more compelling. But the thing is that while we were getting ready for our contest, the reason that we did it is not because it was on the checklist. It was because of what we were thinking and feeling. And that's the same for anything you want to accomplish. So like you were talking about females accomplishing basically side hustles, like my life coaching business that I have.
Mm-hmm.
This originates from our minds, not actions that we give ourselves to do. It originates with the thoughts that create the feelings we need. And it's the same for a dental business too. Like your business is a manifestation of what you are thinking. So if your business is not what you want it to be, then the first place you need to look is inside your own head.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. I mean, my side hustle starts with that foundation. So where you're speaking to the heart, soul, brain, and mind, I'm speaking to that as well on a different level of, I think dentists race into purchasing a practice without a lot of thought. And they have a company make a logo that they haven't thought about. They're like, that looks good. They haven't spent time thinking about what colors do they love? Like manifesting that dream and creating that logo and then that foundation to build the rest of their practice on. They just go in and start working and chasing their tail. And so it never really sits deeply within them. And then when it comes to like telling their story or social, they get stuck. They get
Oh,
stuck.
what am I trying to tell?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's so interesting.
You have thoughts. First of all, you've learned by the hard way how to actually tell a brand or tell a story, right? And you have thoughts about your desire to help other dentists do that, which is why you end up doing it.
Right. Yes. Yes. And yes, I know.
But in the meantime, we could all be nicer to ourselves.
My gosh. Yes. So passionate about it as you are. I think when there is fire and passion, and we create that for anything we want, whether that was doing the fitness competition or, you know, being an amazing leader, you know, we do absolutely, you know, manifest what that thought is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so back to this like crisis we're in too, I wish people, it's hard because, you know, we just keep going and saying we have a gift, like we have something and we're just going to keep going until someone listens because someone will listen because we have a lot to say. But, you know, I think with the dentists right now, or what I've seen is like, you know, with the loan talks and the debt talk and all that, where they could put some positive energy into this kind of stuff, whether what, you know, I'm doing, you're doing, the things that would really benefit their mindset and their practice growth, and team culture, and all of it would be so much more beneficial for them. You know, and we were talking about investing, like right now where people come from the scarcity mindset and they're like, oh my God, no, I can't. I've seen this again and again too. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, I have literally, and I will tell you, dug into my drawers to find a credit card that I have not used because I was like, I'm going all in on my education. I want to continue to grow. There are things that I want to learn about. And for me, and I'm just passionate about it. And again, this is me and I'm not for everyone, that's great. But I'm like, gosh, people, we know so much about teeth. Like, how much better can we get when it comes to sleep and all of that? Yes, you could learn a new skill like sleep apnea. Will that be around forever? Yes, but you're going to be so caught up. It's easier to go to a weekend course on that, take away all the pearls. But like right now, there's time where you can sit with yourself and be. So wouldn't you want to spend some time, you know, with like your coaching, like your mindset and kind of switching things up like that, or looking at your practice and saying, hey, like from a bird's eye view and really looking at it from a patient's perspective or whatever, and saying, hey, wow, I've never really seen that before. I don't really love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's make some tweaks there and make your environment a better, more homey space, which is warm and inviting and maybe new and fresh when you get back.
So I would like to summarize what you just said by this, which is think about, to each of you who are listening to this podcast, think about, okay, we're here. COVID-19 is here. Our practice is closed. How do I want to show up during this time? When I look back, what do I want to report that I accomplished? Who do I want to be right now? Sit down and write it down on a piece of paper. And then maybe, like Jessica said, maybe it's you decide that you want to invest in your mind, that you want to learn more skills, whether it's marketing or business ownership, systems. It's a great time to look at your systems.
Definitely.
Maybe you want to learn about sleep apnea and that's what you want to do. So many different things, but ask yourself, how do I want to show up? I am living in history. What am I going to tell my kids or myself that I did during this time?
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think something I've been wanting to do and I haven't, and on the last podcast I did with the high vibe hygienist, she talked about Janning. Are you familiar with that?
Nope.
I believe it's someone from Tony Robbins that teaches a method of, it's like journaling. It's a 15-minute time session, but it's journaling and goal setting combined, which I said, gosh, that would be really cool because I've always, since I was 11, I wrote in journals, and I probably have about 50 of them, which I love, because to me, that's like a legacy for my kids eventually someday.
Mhm.
Like they'll have that. Now I have found that my journaling is more through storytelling. I think my social media or my picture grids are more my documentation now.
Mhm.
Um, but I would love to get back to that. I feel like writing, so in reflection, being able to just, and you go crazy, I guess she said, you just write from your,
Just write it.
whatever your mind is, just write, let it be messy or whatever. And then you kind of say, today is going to be, amazing or whatever. And then you kind of go forward with the goal setting of positive. But I think that is tremendous. Do you do any kind of meditation, journal writing? Do you recommend things like that? Especially now, but I know they're positive always.
I recommend doing what's called a thought download, which sounds like it's similar to Janning. Just start with a blank piece of paper and write down everything that your mind is thinking, whether it's good or bad, whether it's true or not. Write it down, because once you write it down, it's sort of like opening up your brain and peeking inside. It's called metacognition. You're thinking about what you're thinking. Okay. And when you do that, then you're much more able to see what you've been thinking that's not helpful.
Mm-hmm. True, which would help a lot. And I think finding what I have found, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, with the house order kind of stuff, afraid to go out. I mean, air, fresh air, the clouds, I just find, and again, that's personal, but I think for everyone, it can speak volumes, is peace in nature. Like just being outside and taking deep breaths of that fresh air.
Mhm.
There is so much beauty in nature. I mean, I think it was a week or two ago, there was a storm, and I just knew and felt like there was a rainbow. I could not see it. I literally put on my running shoes and ran down to the water, and it's on my Instagram, like the most big, beautiful, full rainbow over the water. And I was like, oh, I think there was
Awesome.
one other person that was there that saw it. And I said, isn't this such a gift? Like the most beautiful thing. And it was like, there's going to be a rainbow on the other side of the storm and whatever. But whatever it is, there was one day I went walking and I turned on Spotify. I never really do that. I've got my playlist. I just put the 80s on, and I found myself like, woo, just kind of like skipping my step. Like some of those songs were taking me back to, so finding that place in my brain where there were those like really happy times, whether that be childhood, wherever, um, kind of reflecting back, and like, I don't know. So that has been like fun and positive too. I found actually I've been putting on the 80s a lot lately.
Well,
um,
and let me just ask you, like, if your practice was open right now, what are the chances that you would have stopped and done that?
no, nothing. And that's why I'm saying, like, to me, it is such, like, you guys, like, I know I am so incredibly grateful for this time. There is no gratitude. Obviously, it's so unfortunate what is happening out there with everything that is going on, but it is out of our control, and I realize that. So
Yeah.
we have to look at it as a time and opportunity. I know, all year, even though I know your practice as well. We both, when we went through this program many moons ago, the coach at that time spoke to having a lot of time off, working less and making more, which is what we both ended up doing. And everybody, and it can be
Totally.
done. You don't think that
Yeah.
you can do it, you just do it. You plan that next vacation when you can't afford it, and it's like manifestation, right? It happens. Somehow you end up with the money because you're in a positive mindset, you're going to be going there. I mean,
Mhm.
it always works out. But we
Yeah.
take in our practices 6 to 10 weeks off, and I still am looking for time. So if my schedule is like that every single year, why am I still like, oh my gosh, I have no time? You know I just I'm always trying to find it. So with this time now, like I said, I've been like, oh my gosh, there is such a beautiful thing with, we were discussing, we kind of hopped on here with our me with my coffee here earlier, saying what a blessing, like how great this has been to just show up when you want, to let your body sleep until it wants to sleep, to have your cup of coffee and really taste it and enjoy it and sit, maybe go for a walk. I've been going down to the water in the morning,
Mhm.
whatever, whenever you want and need it. I mean, we will not have this opportunity again. So to your point, to circle back to that, how are you going to use your time? How are you going to show up? What are those takeaways going to be when you reflect a year from now? This will go down in history, right? Or later when you're telling your grandchildren what happened during COVID or whatever. It can be anything. It can be showing up as a better parent, and being present and playing board games. I think that that's so cool. And, it would be great, whatever your thing is, your calling is.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say, how you showed up, just think about it. And then you'll have the thoughts that will create the action that you want.
Yeah, I completely agree. Tell us a little bit about you have right now during this time, because I know you've been calling as well to no time. My gosh, like the present, you have such a gift that you are offering all the time. But I know that you stepped into doing a free online course and coaching call. Is that correct?
Yes, I have a free course that any of your listeners could take right now. It's called Leading Better Starts with Feeling Better. And it starts with a workbook. It's a 20-page workbook that you can either print off or, type in as a PDF. Really introspective to help you see what you've been thinking, and also sort of how you want to show up. And so there's a workbook, and then a couple days later, you'll get a video from me that helps you understand how we analyze any situation using the coaching tools that I have. And then there's another video after that too. So really just basically it's all designed to help a female dental practice owner understand how she could create something different than what she has right now. And you can access that from my website, thelifecoachforbusydentist.com. And you just scroll down till you get to the part where it says, get my free workbook.
I love that. And I think there's no better time for people to spend that time. I will have to definitely take advantage and do that. In my life, I have done the life book. It sounds similar. It's like a deep dive, going really deep, inner work. There is nothing better for growth than to do that. And again, with this gift of time, we have it, so use it.
Exactly. It's
Get to
free
yourself,
and you have the time. And
right?
like I said, your manifestation of your thoughts is your business. So if you want it to be different, you start with your thoughts. And my free book could get on help you with that. And I also have a podcast that you can listen to while you're on walks or runs or whatever. And it goes on the YouTube channel too if you prefer the video version. But on the podcast is called Feeling Good, a podcast for dentists.
Yay. Feeling Good, a podcast for dentists. Make sure that you subscribe to that because she's got nothing but amazing positive things to say. And then her Leading Better starts with Feeling Better, her free workbook. Definitely get your hands on that on her website. And she does do coaching calls as well. I know right now, because of this time, you're probably available. Do you have specific hours for that or for calls? How do they get in touch with you
every week? But if you want to make an appointment with me, if you just want to chat, there's actually a link to make an appointment with me on my website, the same one. So anybody can, the first coaching call is free. So we could hop on and chat anytime.
I love that. And I'm so thankful for you to spending the time with me this morning to chat about all of this good stuff. So your website again is?
thelifecoachforbusydentist.com.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure that I put that up as well. Mm-hmm. And anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to speak to at all? I'm so grateful for you.
I just want to say that I have so much respect for any female dental practice owner, any female dentist, really. We're all sisters. We're all in this together, and we all understand each other better than anybody else. And good job to each of you for what you're doing. You're bringing it.
I love that. Dr. Laura, you rock. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you for everything you're doing, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank so much.
Thank you.